Hi there, I'm Becky Hammond, founder and strengths maven over at Isogo and isogostrong.com. Welcome to Isogo TV, the video and audio podcast where we are fueling marriage connection, parenting grace, and work energy by focusing in on your strengths instead of fixating on your weakness. Today, you are joining us for episode 76, and we are in our Isogo TV interview series. By talking to leaders, coaches, parents, spouses, regular people, we are bringing alive the life-changing stories that have been fueled by people's unique and brilliant strengths in their work, or their marriages, or their parenting. My guest today is Kat Rippy. Kat is the CEO of Energize Leadership and the host of the Everyday Leader podcast. For more than 20 years, Kat has worked with organizations across the United States, ranging in size from 20,000 employees to a small office of 30, as well as many individuals who run their own small businesses. Kat knows what it takes to lead people, and her clients benefit greatly from her system-wide perspective and understanding of how to improve performance through tools and techniques that have been mastered by the world's greatest leaders. Today, she's sharing about the difference the strengths perspective has made in the work that she chooses to do, and the work that she chooses not to do. She shows just how important strength-based awareness is and gives us insight into how to craft the conversations that make your work what you need it to be for you. So let's dive into this conversation with Kat Rippy. All right. Hello there, Kat Rippy. I am excited to have you on today.
I'm so excited too. Thank you for having me. This is great.
You're welcome. And I don't know, maybe I'm calling you out a little bit too much right at the beginning, but as I was about to say, hi, Kat Rippy, I'm like, I've always known you as Kat, but I mean, this is a new world, right?
Yeah, that's so funny that you remembered that, because I'm starting to forget, which means I've fully evolved into my real self, right?
Yeah. So Kat, previously known as Kathy, but never again, right?
Right. I still slip sometimes. And those who knew me then, right? They still slip sometimes too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
started with strength.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Let's just kind of, I would love for everyone to start to get to know you a little bit and to have you tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe about your family and the work that you do, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the leadership development and management consulting space, which looks like a lot of things. Looks like coaching, looks like strategic planning, organization development, all of that for organizations and leaders within. Live in San Diego, California, which is awesome.
It is awesome.
I'm a big goal setter, big believer in setting goals and achieving them. Was lucky enough to, at 18, my first fall semester at my undergraduate degree, got real clear that this was the space that I wanted to work in. I feel like I was lucky and blessed to know about what career I wanted to be in.
Yeah.
I have an amazing husband who's very supportive and 100% equally responsible for any successes that I have.
Wow.
And my ability to raise our two children, which is full of fun challenges. They're awesome, but I just full disclosure, I'm one of those people who is pretty upfront and honest about challenges in managing this crazy life. So I like to talk turkey.
Yeah. We need that in our lives because we all have them, right? Why would we hide and pretend like we don't, right? All right. So as we're getting to know you a little bit, what is something that you have been most proud of recently?
Oh, gosh. So many things. I don't know where to go with that.
That's a good thing.
Proud of my husband and myself both have our own businesses. And so I think year over year to take those step back and realize, wow, look where we are now.
Yeah.
I actually was just reading an Instagram post earlier today about making sure that you take that moment to realize how many of your prayers actually have come true today that you had asked for previously. And so literally this morning, I was just thinking about all of those things that, you still have places you want to go, but just so grateful for the things that I have made happen and that we're kind of experiencing now. So I love where I live, love my family. I was home last week helping to take care of my parents who are in independent living with a real host of problems at that point in their life. And I have 4 sisters, and everyone has found like a niche with their own talents and offerings. And so they don't really see it that way, but because I'm the geek who does, right?
Yes.
I'm like, we've all found our little role where we can be helpful in our own way to help mom and dad with where they are right now. So that was another sense of pride moment, where that all kind of happened.
Totally. Yeah. And it's not an easy road to navigate. I mean,
no,
not just with your parents, but also with siblings and all that.
Right.
Challenges, as you say, that you are not afraid to talk about. So cool. Well, thank you. That is definitely something to be proud of. So let's dive into the strengths perspective a little bit. I know that you have been exposed to the strengths perspective over the last, 5 years or so. And, you, when you first came across the strengths concept, what were you thinking about in your life at the time? What were your challenges that you were working through or problems that you were thinking about most?
So interestingly, I actually had been exposed to strengths more than 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Actually, when it first came out, I was at one of Marcus Buckingham's first big things in Orange County. And I fell in love with it then, and I used it intermittently in my work as a consultant or as a coach, right? I never really did a lot of workshops with it, but I would bring it into play. Or if people knew what their strengths were, we would, dive in to the extent that I could at that point in time. And then about a year ago, found that work was coming to me more frequently, that organizations were more open to it in my world. And I was being called to bring it into workshops and that kind of thing. And so as I was building some content and trying to figure out what to do with it, I wanted to go obviously a lot deeper into my own understanding. Yeah. And as I then started to work with people like you who were super deep and steeped in the history of strengths and each one of the 34 and getting much more clear on that, that was when the world opened up for me in terms of A, how little I did know, and B, what it really meant for me. So although I had seen my top 5 and I was like, yeah, that's me, I hadn't really owned it. I hadn't really gone deep to understand how it could have a strong impact on me, and then how I could help to leverage that with clients and organizational work as well.
Man, you know what? I love that. I mean, I know I'm taking us off a little bit, but I love that you knew what your top 5 were before they ever really had like a hold on you. Yeah, because I think that that's a really, really common thing. It's like, as of this week, over 19 million people worldwide have discovered their top 5 strengths through the Clifton Strengths Finder. That's great. But I don't think that means that there are 19 million people whose lives have been changed by understanding who they are, who they're not, who the people around them are. And I think there's a moment that people whose lives have been changed, they can look back to and say, this is when it really, really took hold.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. I love that. I know
it's always worth it to come back.
It is always worth it. Okay. So at the point right before the strengths concept took hold, when you were like, okay, I think I should dive deeper into this because it seems like people are asking for it, or I'd like to give this to people kind of as my offering. What were the problems and challenges that you were facing in your life or in your work?
Yeah, in my life. So I have been through various, within my career, various, ins and outs of different types of organizations, right? So working internally as an internal consultant, working external as a consultant that works for a firm. And then I had a little period of time where I was also fully independent. Not little, it was like 5 years. So I was independent for about 5 years, had my 2 kids, experienced the full crazy of 2 children with no family nearby, had an opportunity to work within a firm that was local in San Diego. And so I stepped back in. Now, note that I had been independent and had opened my own firm, because my true calling from a very young age was to have my own business. It was just ingrained in me. I knew I was entrepreneurial. But at that point in time, I conscientiously made the decision that would be probably the best move for me right now. And at that age, gosh, how old was I? 32, 33, something like that before. Still was feeling like there was such a value added for being within an organization, a value that other people would see, right? And so it would pay off long term. So I went and I took that role, which was great in a lot of ways. But what I wasn't able to do, I had to play too many roles. And so at that point in time, I was overwhelmed. I was not feeling like I was making traction with what I knew my talents brought to the table, right? Yeah. So it was like 5% instead of 100%,
right?
Where my value added just wasn't coming out enough. And so, and also, not always in front of the right client.
Sure.
Finding a fit with the work, but not necessarily the right client, right? So all of that. And it was when I opened up the strengths at that point in time that I also didn't just get the top 5, but I looked at the full 34. And I had a coach to go through it with me. So when I was doing that,
an amazing coach,
I revisited, right. But when I was looking at the top 5 and there was all these ahas, and what that did for me was I had somebody else to confirm, this is your total awesomeness. And then I went out and got feedback from people who've known me for a long time about where they saw those things coming out. And the first thing I think was profoundly encouraging and affirming that no matter how much I didn't necessarily feel like a success or like I was having the impact I wanted to have, people knew my strengths and talents, right? Like they're there. People see them. Yeah. People who know you well see them. Right. And so that was really encouraging, and it gave me more confidence to stand strong in those top 5. And then do you want me to talk about the bottom 5?
Yeah, please do.
Are you ready for that?
Revelation there. Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. So my bottom 5 were, so my top 5 are really heavily focused on strategic, right? Okay. The whole strategic domain, strategic thinking, ideation, futuristic, and then a little bit of like communication arranger mixed in there. So I can do the ideating, I can create amazing strategies, programs, etc., and I can kind of put them together. But where I would get stuck constantly was in actually making them happen and making them successful. So when I opened my bottom 5, I realized those were all executing strengths.
You're like,
and with the right. So like then once I started talking about that, people were like, oh yeah, like once you have your idea and it gets planted, you're on to the next one, I'm like, yes, totally. And that's where I bring the magic, right? I mean, getting me stuck in this executing mode is like A, killing me, but then B, not really providing a lot of great like end product to the table, Yeah. So it was a big aha to see that I had been focused for 20 years on compensating for my lack of ability to execute. So, I mean, all of the little things. I struggle with this at work. I struggle with this 24 hours a day. All the little stuff that has to get done, from getting out of bed and the 20 things that a woman has to do to get ready. Overwhelmed, okay? Then I have 2 children to take care of and get off. I'm dead. 8 o'clock, I want to die. I'm dead.
I haven't even started my job yet.
I haven't. I always tell my husband, I'm like, I want to die before I even get out of bed. Like, that's not a great way to start your day.
No, it's actually not.
So, and then it just goes on from there. And so if I have to pay bills, if I have to manage a budget, if I have to pay people, it's like all of those things, they kill my soul and they really do stop my magic. And so, as in AA, the first thing was to just recognize what the situation was.
Yeah. And so would you like, before you had this aha moment, especially with your bottom 5, would you say your struggle or your problem was like you were in a role that was constantly requiring you to execute? Or
yes, for sure.
I mean, and your life
for sure, which is which I mean is somewhat unavoidable, right? I mean,
I got to get things done.
You're going to produce something and get a paycheck in any way, however you're going to do that.
Right.
You got to just get something done. So that wasn't so much of the problem, but I couldn't have the team around me that I needed to have around me to make things happen. So that was one of the things I worked on a lot in that first year, was understanding what kind of person or people I needed around me to be successful, and accept the fact that, yes, well, first of all, I think feel okay about needing that, because I grew up in a family and I've always lived within organizations that had a pretty tight belt. And so that was luxurious, having an administrative assistant or having someone to help with stuff around the house. Like, I'm the first person in my family who has a cleaning person, and I've got them now working more than once a week.
Right.
Like, I don't even talk about that with nobody knows that. Okay.
No one knows. Don't listen.
No, totally. But that took a long time to overcome, what's normal in your environment and what's not. And it's not luxurious. It's honestly, I make so much more money to pay for that by being able to focus on my talents, but also, everybody benefits. I mean, everybody. I'm a better mom. I'm a better
Your mental
person.
space has
I'm a
been
much better.
cleared up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So it's not even just about the financial aspect. Well, now I can afford it, but like, no, actually, like, I'm a better person because somebody comes in and changes things up. Yeah.
Right. I mean, my clients have follow through. Like, wow, what a concept. Right?
Go figure.
To get what they're asking for. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. That's amazing. What, if you were going to describe like the process that it took, and you've started talking about that a little bit. So it took maybe a year of like really kind of fleshing it all out and seeing how it was playing out and kind of coming to the realization, like it's okay to need help. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not be, well-rounded circle Kat.
Yeah.
What was the process? Is there anything else you would add to like what the process was like for you? Kind of getting to that before state to the after state?
I'm in the middle state, to be clear.
All right. Yes.
And it's been,
of course,
been a while. So, I mean, it's been several different pieces of process. I think, number one, having the cheerleader who affirms A, where you're greatest, and B, how to focus on that. So that was really helpful. I can't recommend having a coach who knows this stuff inside and out. I can't, it's invaluable. I mean, actually, I will tell you that first year, it actually increased my income by $25,000 within a month after I started the coaching.
Wow.
So
what do you attribute that?
That was tangible. My ability to stand up for what I needed to make things happen, and my value for what I was bringing to the table. Yeah. So because I had been stretching so hard, this all goes to developing a weakness, right? Y'all have the weaknesses. Yeah. Everybody, even those who are amazing overachievers, have weaknesses. And I do this now in my coaching a lot too, where you can see those people who are not okay not being able to do everything. Yep. And that is the worst thing you can do, right? So you have to admit your weaknesses, and you have to be able to feel okay about them before you can actually do something about it. Stop feeling bad, stop making excuses, stop failing, right? Yeah. So you're never going to be able to satisfy. And of course, I also surrounded myself always by people who were excellent in the things that I sucked at. So they would really see it as a weakness. Right.
Yes.
I wore that.
Why can't you do this? Why can't you keep up with this? Why this isn't hard? Right.
It's so frustrating that you're not doing that well. Yeah. Or as fast as me or whatever. So the judgment in there is a huge piece to it. So I had to overcome that, which the coach was just so helpful for being able to stand proud and tall in what I personally bring to the table. And then from there, it was playing with different, I don't know what to call them, people, audiences, right? So from my peers to my boss to my clients, and kind of show up differently in different ways, where I would find opportunities to own things. I would use my voice to say, yeah, I can do that for you if I have to, but it's going to take me longer than somebody else would, and it might not be as great. So let's first make sure I'm the only person who can do this.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah, what a powerful line of communication, because it's totally respectful and it's not saying no. Right.
But it's, gosh, if I'm doing it, first of all, you're not going to be as satisfied. But second of all, I'm going to suffer. So if I'm going to suffer, I need to buffer that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I need to be able to have, I've learned a ton about my energy. So, and now I use this in my work all the time, where your strengths give you energy and your non-strengths take your energy, literally. So I was running on no energy. I had nothing to give. I felt, I mean, I didn't feel dead, but it was like the next thing to dead. You know what I mean?
Yes, right.
Just the life had been sucked out of me. And part of it is I have such an interest in I want to do everything. But then I was trying to do all of everything.
All of the everything.
My plate's full in the first place, and then you're doing too much of all of it, you know? So how do I make the right promises? How do I say no? So that first year was huge on prioritizing, really shifting between what you say yes to and what you say no to, helping to educate others as well as educating myself and learning. So like I'd get it right 2 times and I'd get it wrong 3 times. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like, okay, that didn't work. Nice try. Or 6 months in, I'd find myself right back where I was, you know, where I was before. And it was like, oh my God, how did I get here?
You're like, I know this is not where I want to be.
Right. But it was 20 years of habits built up. I mean, it's not going to change overnight, right?
Right.
So the second year was a little bit more of that, but it was also getting real clear on what my next move was for me. Like where do I need to be to really bring my talents to the world on a consistent basis where, I mean, my goal, which I'm not there yet, is to have it where not a single day goes by where either I'm not benefiting from my greatness or someone else is. So, and what I mean by me is the spa day where I get to just be off, right? But also those days where every day you're having these moments of like, wow, they got the best of me, literally. I mean, not in a bad way, but in the good way. Yeah. That person got the best of me. I had this last week. I had literally, no, 2 weeks ago, the perfect client fit come on board. And in that one session, the pre-meeting, you know, it was clear. And I left and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, you're attracting the right stuff now and you're feeling it up front on where that fit is or where that magic is happening. And it's not going to be every day. You know, it's not going to be every day, but I also, the more you have that experience, the more you'll be clear on when it's not that experience and let go of those, you know?
Yeah. And the more energizing it is to like create those experiences and just to kind of, like you said, let go of the other ones. It's like, well, why would I try to do one of those other things? Is this feels good to, not just feels good to me, but what I think that person just got from from us, from me being able to be in my flow. Like I gave something to them too. And
Absolutely.
what a powerful gift and contribution that is to the other person, whether it's the person on your team that you've now employed, or it's the person who you're, you know, a client that you're coaching or consulting with.
Yeah. So then the third year was really about leaving, the firm that I've been working for and starting my own. And so the part that took a long time for me to get through making that leap was wanting to make sure that whatever I did next was not I was not setting myself up for any repeat behaviors or experiences.
Right.
And so that was a lot of work, and a lot of time. And it's funny because I have this year now, I have business coaches that are helping from a pure business angle. And I'm always yelling at them. I'm like, no, I am not going to do that. I am beyond it. And I know it sounds like I'm stuck up, but I can't do it anymore. And they're like, what? No, you have to. I'm like, no, I don't have to do that. I will hire somebody to do that. And it's going to be done much better, but I'm done. Okay.
Like, I understand this needs to be done, but it's not me that's going to do it.
And they're like, roll up your sleeves. I'm like, no. I've rolled them up for 20 years. I'm done. This is day 1. This is day 20 years in a day, you know?
So how do people react to that? Like, what's their reaction? Are they like, oh, I get you, crazy. I understand? Or they're like, this is dumb. I mean, do you come across ever as like prideful or like, well, I'm not doing that? Like how do you get past all that kind of stuff when people don't understand what you're talking about?
Well, I mean, I just don't give up. I just do it my way. It's my business, so I hire the people to do it. I mean,
you and my husband have a lot in common.
So, I mean, there's definitely nuggets and grains of salt in what they're saying, and there is some stuff that I do have to recognize I have to do, like
Sure.
messaging. I just, as much as I try, and I have surrounded myself now with a great team, and a big part of that team is that they can speak like me. I mean,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get the key messages, right? But there's certain ones where I'm like, no, I really got to dip in. And so let me
Yeah.
look at this calendar and figure out where is the space for me to do it. And that's huge because it's not wedged in always, like that
Yeah.
1 hour that's on your calendar next Tuesday. Some of that stuff is like, nope, I need to go be away for a day. I might need to get a hotel room or something. I mean,
Right.
it's the hard stuff that's hard work. You got to create space for it, and you got to give yourself a day before and a day after. Like, at least for me,
Yeah.
give yourself permission to have the rest to build that energy back up, because you're going to use a lot of energy to do that stuff. The hard stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And then communicating that to those people that are saying this is what you need to be doing. I mean, that gives you that gives credibility to your position, to say like, yeah, okay, I really
Right.
have to do this. And I'm going to create an intentional space to do it, because otherwise it either A, won't get done, or I will go crazy doing it, and I will drive you crazy because I'm crazy, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Or if I don't do it, then it's just wrong for a long time, right?
Right. True.
So
Exactly. So, I mean, if you had to say kind of what's different about your life now that you understand or know and are kind of living in the strengths perspective versus, that pre 3 years ago, how would you summarize what's different?
Well, first of all, the mental clarity, the mental space I have around clarity is huge. So, which happens to be a challenge for me, because I think having that ideator and the strategic, and my brain is just always
Full
thinking and going. Yeah. And so it's helpful for me to have better anchors that pull me, that I can pull myself back in. I can recognize more clearly when it's not serving me well. One of the things I would do, which I would love to know if any other strategic ideators have this problem, but and part of it, I am a woman, so I guess maybe I lean on that crafty creativity side more than a man might, although they would have maybe garage work that they would do. I don't know. But I would constantly find myself ending up taking on weird crafts. Like I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example, a flower arrangement. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Like
random.
I just volunteered to do the centerpieces for somebody that I don't even know. Like,
right.
I just thought that was a cool thing to do.
Yes, totally. And so I would take on these extra projects because they were fun. And I found myself questioning, like, gosh, do I want to be a florist? Am I in the wrong field? Or it wasn't just floral. Like, it was a lot of different things, right? And so I'm like, maybe I do need to have 20 jobs or 20 careers. And finally I realized that those were the things I would gravitate towards when I wasn't getting that exercise because those are my needs, right? Like, those are my drivers. The being creative, taking an idea and making something with it, running with it. And flowers, you can do, ooh, it's creative. I can go buy them. I can put it together. And look, I actually did something, And so it was like part of my madness that I wasn't able to use my talent.
Yeah.
And it would come out in these extracurricular things. And so a lot of times now I find myself helping my clients where, if they're really stuck, what can we get you doing that provides you with the fuel after work or whatever it is, right? And those things provide clues as to what kind of outlets you need or whatever. But I was just telling my sister, I'm like, she was joking around about ribbon and her ribbon supply. And I was like, I just threw mine away. I can't believe I had 2 buckets of ribbons, and they all came from this random art stuff. Do you know how much money I spent on random creative stuff because I wasn't able to focus that in my work?
That is an amazing revelation. It's so good. I don't think I've heard anything like it, and I love it. I love it.
So I mean, that's a huge benefit. I'm saving money.
I'm saving money on ribbons.
I'm not wasting time doing superfluous activities that give me fuel, because I'm focusing in my work on doing the stuff that makes me tick, and then the other magical piece, which is beautiful, has been seeing people for their strengths like no other. So I'll watch 2 people interact and what they talk about, And I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, you had smoke coming out of your head. That is your magic spot right there, what you're doing. That's what you need to do most of the time. Like, find space to do that. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, think about it for a little while, watch yourself. And they'll come back and be like, you are right. That's really an area where I love being. I love playing, and I produce stuff. So I can see now in picking my team members where to put them and where not to. I give all kinds of fun activities, like, here, try this. Like, nope, that's not it, right?
That's not going to be it.
But what a great mentality versus that person sucks, I need to fire them. It's no, that just isn't the right task for them. This one over here is. Where can we get them shifted into their right work versus forcing them to do something that they're not great at, and it's not going to be the best product, and they're miserable, I'm miserable, right?
Yeah, and the outcome is blah anyway. Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that is huge. The way that you interact with other people and the value that you can ascribe to them, whereas you might have written them off before or said, whoop, they can't cut it here.
Right.
Now it's like a different way of thinking about what people offer. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So a lot has changed. Back to your question. I'm still in the middle of it where I feel like I still have the days where I'm like, ooh, not a strengths day. What's going on here? But I now have the gift of being able to have that conversation with myself.
Yes.
Whereas I didn't before.
Yeah. Very, that's inspiring. So, okay, last question. If, drawing from your own personal experience, if there's someone out there who's listening to this that can really resonate with how you were feeling before you had these strengths aha moments, maybe they're like feeling next to dead, like they're like, most days I'm not feeling energized. Most days I can't, it's like hard to get going past 8:00. I feel like I'm spending a lot of time working in things that drain me. What encouragement or advice would you give to people who can really relate with some of those challenges that you were struggling with several years ago?
Hire Becky. It goes back to, first of all, pick up the strengths reporter. If you don't have one, get one for sure. But I think processing it with somebody who's so just familiar in the nuances between them and how they interplay, and there's the 33 million combinations of the top 5.
Yes.
It's so complex, and you get such a huge benefit out of being able to have somebody else reflect with you. Sniff around with the people and ask them where do they appreciate you most, right? Where do they see you come alive? Or when was the last time you had that spark? When was your last good day, right? Recreate your best day. How do you get to that more frequently? Patience, which I do not have. So
Activator number 6 you shared.
Yeah. Activator number 6. Not okay taking so long on this journey ever. But patience is we've learned to be who we are over time. Right. And even if you're 20, you've had a lot of messages come into your brain from your teachers, from your parents about where they value you. Yeah. And so a lot of times we end up doing things that are valued by others. Yeah. And it takes us away from what we value ourselves, So it's critical to get yourself on this journey and find a place and go to the spa, have a drink, whatever it is that makes you feel okay within reason. Because honestly,
not oblivion reason, but yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, you know what? The 2 times when I was in that overwhelmed, absolutely wrong state, I gained a ton of weight. I'm still working that off, and that's because food or chocolate or even alcohol. Not that I'm an alcoholic, but right. You drink it more frequently than you maybe want to. They all contribute to not living your healthiest life, right? Totally. And finding the mental space, which is funny that I need mental space, but I need mental space in order to do the exercise. That there wasn't any of it left. I had no mental space left. So you're only going to benefit from just start by reading your strengths. Start by looking for those places where your magic is happening, and then go on the long journey of figuring out how to get to the point of living there. In my opinion, it needs to be 80% of your time.
Yeah. Yeah. Your dream of
that's always
living it every day, bringing your best to something or someone or yourself every day.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you, Kat. Thanks for sharing your story and your journey and the impact that the strengths perspective has had on you, and just so that we can start to see, like, what does it really look like when it's played out in our lives in a practical way, we're not living it perfectly still kind of way. And appreciate that you bring that, and that you're willing to share when you're still in the middle of your journey, like we all are. So
it never ends, really, right?
No, it doesn't. I don't think until you die, and then you're done.
Yeah, then you're done. Hopefully you did it well. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for being on my journey. You actually have been such a good cheerleader. And I love once in a while you'll reach out, or we'll be in touch, and I'm like, that's right. It's just kind of this reminder of you're kind of a mirror, right?
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you. So, thank you. I appreciate it. I've been encouraged to have you be a part of my journey as well. So hopefully we'll be hearing from you again in our community at some point in the future. And thanks again. All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Isn't the power of the strengths perspective in Kat's story so clear? It gave her the fuel and permission to lead and work in the way that she's wired. And as a result, she can craft conversations that help her get there and lead to an exciting, fulfilling day-to-day life. You can connect with Kat Rippy and her work with organizations through her company site, energizeleadership.com, or on LinkedIn. And you can hear from her as the host of the Everyday Leader podcast. You can also get all these links over in the show notes at isogostrong.com/isogotv. Ultimately, my dream would be to see thriving marriages, families, and workplaces across the world. By orienting our mind toward our strengths, I know that we can get there, just like Kat is doing. So I'd love to ask you to share Isogo TV, the video or the audio version, with your circles on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or probably more importantly, right there in your home or your office. And if you like Isogo TV or this interview with Kat in particular, please leave a 5-star review over at iTunes. It not only means a lot to me, but it also helps others find this podcast as a resource too. I'm glad that you were here today to hear how others have fueled significant changes in their lives by focusing in on their strengths. And I hope that you join me for more next time on Isogo TV.